All right, so here we are, week 4. We've made it through the course. We're in our final week. This is our last live session. What I plan to do with this session today is I'm going to do a little bit of a review of what I did last night. There's 3 or 4 things that I did that I want to go back over to make sure that you're absolutely clear on them, because towards the end of the session, I approached these things and I might have done them a little too quick because I was running out of time. So since I have 2 hours now, I want to go back over a few of the things that I did to make sure that you're absolutely clear on what it is and how it's done. So that's what I intend to do. The moment I get done with that, I have a number of people who have submitted pieces for critique. I am going to try to do as many of them as possible, but I'll do that after I do this little bit of a review, because I think this is more important. There are some things that I want to make sure that you're absolutely clear on. So we'll start with that. So I'm not going to belabor the point. Let me just get right into it, all right? So it relates to the submission instructions pretty much. The important thing to understand is that your final submission is going to be a PDF of all 8 of the pages that you've produced. So that's the first thing. And I am going to once again do this. I've done this several times. And I'm going to do it again this morning just to make sure it's absolutely crystal clear how you do this. And then, of course, save as spreads. It's very important that we save these as spreads. When I first saved this as a spread, for some strange reason that I can't explain, these mysterious things occasionally happen, the PDF did not export as spreads. However, after I did it a couple of times after that, it started to save the spreads, and I have no trouble now creating these spreads. So you should probably have no trouble doing it. I don't know why I had the trouble that I did, but I'm not having that trouble now. So save as spreads is a very important thing. And I'll again show you how that's done. You know how to name your file. You've been through this many times, so just remember to name your file appropriately. Try to keep your file smaller than 7 megabytes. This part is absolutely essential. Please be sure to keep your original InDesign file for future editing. What's going to happen at some future point, you're going to be in a course which is a portfolio course, and you're going to be asked to review certain pieces for use in your portfolio. And the person who's teaching that course might require you to go back into this InDesign file of this project and make some minor adjustments that they feel are necessary to make. So the only way that's going to be able to happen is if you keep your original InDesign file. And it's probably a good idea for you to package the InDesign file as a final step, just to make sure that you have your resources captured and you will have no trouble opening this InDesign file at a future date. This is very important, so that's why I wanted to make sure that I talk about this. Now it says here, export pages and add the magazine to your Behance portfolio site. That is not very clear. I have found that when you go to Behance, Behance will not accept the PDF file. You're going to go to this ISSUU. If you look at the last one, upload your magazine to ISSUU.com and submit the URL to the magazine. ISSUU.com will, in fact, allow you to upload your PDF, and you will be able to use that PDF. I am going to take you into Behance. Now, I assume you guys have worked with Behance before. I don't know whether you've worked with ISSUU before. I personally don't use any of these very often. What I think I'm going to do, though, is starting with this class, I am going to start using these, and I'm going to start uploading stuff to them regularly. So I'm better equipped to deal with them, and I also have some stuff up there like you guys should have up there. And there's also Adobe Portfolio we're going to take a look at too. There's 3 different things that I would recommend that you take a look at, and I'll try to show you as best I can how to deal with all 3 of them. That's the first thing. Okay, so export pages to and add magazine to your Behance portfolio site. It says export pages. Doesn't say it very clearly, but what export pages means that is in order for you to get these pages up into Behance, they have to be turned into JPEGs. So that's the export that they're talking about. You really should say export pages as JPEGs and add the magazine to your Behance portfolio site. That would be more accurate because, frankly, you can't really do it any other way. That's the way it's got to be done. So I'm mentioning this to you, and I'm going to show you how to do that. You're going to send an email to your FPA, and you're going to CC the instructor, me, with the URL link to your Behance portfolio site. And then you're going to upload your magazine to ISSUU.com. I don't know whether you know anything about ISSUU or not. When I did this yesterday, it was the very first time I had ever been to ISSUU before. I haven't had the opportunity to do anything with this yet. I found it to be fairly easy. It's on the order of Behance. It's very similar. It's just basically a portfolio site. And each one of these sites has a free area. If you can't afford to pay for it, it's a free area, and you can upload a certain amount of stuff for free. And that's what I'm taking advantage of right now. At some point, maybe I'll pay for something. If I get to the point where I have to upload a lot of things, maybe I might, pay a little bit of something for it. But right now, there's a free area. That's what I'm using. So those are your submission instructions, and all of this has to be done. And it may sound a lot more formidable than it actually is. And that's why, before I get into doing critiques this morning, I want to go through some of this stuff to make sure that you understand how this is done and you don't have any trouble doing it, okay? Now I'm going to scroll down a little bit because this is something I also want to mention. Last night, one of the things that I did was I addressed this layout that is shown here. This layout shows you what we are going to be working on as a final footnote to this particular 8-page magazine. So the magazine cover is shown to have the magazine flag, the logo, a piece of cover art, and a barcode. So it's telling you essentially that these elements are extremely important. There's also some information that you put in here about the articles, which you saw me do last night. And actually, when we get to InDesign, I'm going to talk about that briefly because there's something I just want to make sure you understand about that. But this is simple enough. Where it gets a little more difficult is down in here. So we have table of contents and your editorial. Okay, now this page is actually set on page 4. Okay, and it is going to be continued onto page 65. So one of the things that we have to do is we have to make sure that this page begins on page 4. Now I did this last night. I did it fairly quickly, and I want to make sure that you don't have any trouble doing this. So what I'm going to do is I can't go back and undo it because it's already done. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of review the steps that I took to do this, just to make sure that you are clear as to how it gets done. So the very first page is going to be page 4. The feature article will appear later on in this publication, page 33. So we're going to change this to page 33. Once we change this to 33, now this is where you have to use your imagination because I'm going to explain this and I'm going to show it to you and I'll make sure you understand this. This page here becomes 33. That means that this page becomes 34. The next one, 35. The next one, 36. And the next one, 37. So let me scroll down, and you'll see that page 4, and then it's page 33, and sure enough, that's page 34, 35, 36. This page here becomes 65, okay? So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take this page and we're going to have to renumber this page as well. The back cover gets no page numbering whatsoever. So what are we doing? This is what we're doing. We are taking the first page and we are going to renumber the first page. That's first. The second page, okay, actually the third page, which is the feature article 1 page, that number is going to change to 33. So we're going to change the numbering on the first page. I'm not counting the cover. I'm talking about the interior pages. The first page in the interior is going to change. The numbering will change on it. And then the next page, the numbering will change on it. And then as a final note, we go down to the very last page, not the back cover, but the last page within the series of spreads, and we're going to change that page number there. So 3 pages we're going to change the numbering on. And in doing that, we should have all these numbers appear very much like you see right there. It sounds like it's something that's really tricky to do, but in fact, it is not that tricky to do. I'm going to show you how to do it. After I do that, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to export as a PDF and show you how to export as a PDF. And then after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to export the entire thing as a series of JPEGs for Behance. And then we'll go to Behance and we'll see about uploading the JPEGs, and we'll go to ISSUU and we'll see about uploading our 8-page piece to ISSUU. And then Adobe Portfolio is an option. I'll take you there. I'm not going to do anything with it, but I'll show you that it's there. You can sign up, and you could also use Portfolio, Adobe Portfolio, as a free portfolio site as well. All right, so I'm going to leave this open, so if I have to, I can come back to this. I'm going to stop the video, and I'm going to bring my 3-column piece back into view. So here's my piece that I did last night. So let me just quickly flip through this. This is our front cover. There is my first spread, page 2 and 3. At this point, these are numbered 2 and 3. Mine actually has already been changed. So you could see mine is not saying, this is no longer saying page 2. This is saying page 33. And then let's go here. And this is 34, which you don't see it because I don't have the numbering on it. But over here, it's 35. And then down here is, come on, there we go. There's no numbering on that page, but on this one, it's 30. What happened here? Hold on a minute. 35. This is 36. This should be 37. I don't know what happened with this page. 65. Oh, that's the last page. I'm sorry. That's the last page. That was the last page. It should be 65. Okay? Yeah, let me go back. Page 65. Correct. Okay, I'm sorry. I messed myself up. So my page number's already been done. So let me just go back. Let's go back to the cover for 1 second, because before I go in and show you how I change these pages, there's one thing I wanted to point out to you that after I did it, I thought to myself, I don't think I really explained this carefully enough, and I think it may cause people a little confusion. I have this feature article area. Let me go to the view menu and let me go to screen mode preview. Okay, so I have this nice feature article area, and what I did was I created 2 frames. One frame has black in it, and I actually made that black semi-transparent. I made a secondary frame in which there's no color in the background, and I have my type in white. So you might ask yourself, well, why did you do that in 2 frames? If, in fact, the text could be part of the background frame, which is that gray frame. Let me move this over, and you'll see what I'm talking about. There's the frame with the text. There is my black frame, which I made partially transparent. The reason I did this, this is the first thing I just wanted to explain to you. The reason I did it this way is because if I had made this frame right here black, And if I had put the text right directly in that black frame, and then if I went up to the object menu and went to effects, transparency, like I did, and if I made this 50% transparent, not only would the background black become 50% transparent, but the text would become 50% transparent as well. And that would cause me to not really be able to read the text very well. So in order to combat that, in order to make it so that this works properly, what I did was I created a frame, filled it with black. I'm going to select it. I'm going to go to the object menu, go to effects, transparency, and you can see what I did here. I set the, this is such a big, and I can't adjust it. It's so difficult. Let me move this over. This is a real pain in the neck because it's such a big screen. Go to the object menu, and let's go to effects, transparency. There we go. Okay, so what I did was I set the transparency on this object to multiply, and I set the opacity to 85%. So what you get, and I hit cancel, what you get is this very nice semi-transparent area which darkens and creates a shape that we can use to put this text in front of. And let's see if I can go edit, undo, move item. I can. Now my item is sitting in front of the other item, and I have text which is white and sitting properly within that black area, and it reads very nicely. So where I didn't redo this whole thing, I just wanted to explain to you that this was two frames that I used to do this, and I wanted to understand why I did this. Now, if I click on this frame right here, let me zoom in and let me show you something. This is what I'm talking about. I zoom in on this. If I go to the object menu, and if I go to effects, and I go to transparency, okay, and I set this thing from normal to multiply, you see how it disappears? If it were, and this won't even work, period, but if this were part of the other, if I made this 85%, it would be lighter, okay? It would be lighter, 85%. And if it were set to multiply, probably it would pretty much drop away, or if it didn't drop away, it would further, be hidden, and it would not look right. So again, that's why there are two frames. Let me hit cancel. I didn't want any effect on this text. I just wanted it to be plain, ordinary white text that's sitting in front of a Ben-Day or a semi-transparent black background to make it stand off the picture. So I just wanted to explain this to you, because I thought last night when I did it, after I was done with the class, I thought, geez, I wonder if I really explained that to them, if they understood why I was doing it. So I just wanted to go back in, and I wanted to make sure that that was clear. Okay, so I hope it is. Now let's go view, and let's go fit spread in window. There we go. And let's go to the first spread. Okay, so the first spread, after I built this thing, and we went through the process of building this, the only thing that was a little bit odd about this was that I created two columns here. And the way I did that was by selecting it, going to the object menu, and going to text frame options. And I just set the number of columns to 2. And I have a gutter of 0.1667, which is a reasonably nice gutter. It's about a good size gutter for this, okay? And that's really all it took for me to do this, is to just make this 2 columns. And then I just basically set my copy in here, and I made my copy fit and make sure that I had it breaking the way I wanted. This breaks nicely. You got your table of contents over here, and you have your first article, Fresh Herbs, your second article, Becoming a Mindful Eating Master, and then there's James Jackson. There's a New Way to Grill here, and then, of course, your byline, and then there's Fresh Fast Family Food Salads, and there's your byline, and there's your summary right there. So this thing works very nicely now as a table of contents. Now, of course, normally what you would do is you would put the page numbering in here. I didn't do the page numbering on it, but that would be the only thing that's not done on there is the page numbering. Now, I've also lost my picture here. God knows why that is. Let's see if I can figure out where my picture went. Let's see. Hold on. Where's my picture? I don't know where my picture went. Isn't that bizarre? Lost my picture. Let's see, that's on the text layer. Let me drag it down to the image layer. Let me drag it down to the background layer. There it is. Okay, so the background layer, there we go. Okay, so now it's fixed. Now it's fixed. Okay, so essentially what it was this image right here was probably out of place. It's on the image layer. This should have been on the background layer. And actually, let's go, I think the problem is this. The problem is this guy here. This is the text. If I can get the text. Let me drag that up to the text layer, see if that works. Cannot move subset. All right, I can't. Text layer, I can move that up. Cannot move subset. Ungroup to selection. Okay, I got to ungroup it. Object, ungroup. Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, see, I got it grouped. Object, ungroup. There we go. Okay, now what I can do is, and this now, you know what? I'm going to have to go into the whole process of text wrapping this again, so I'm not going to bother. This is basically the reason that these layers are a bit wacky on mine. So I'm not going to go to all the trouble of doing that because that'll kind of tie me up, and that's not what I want to deal with. This is showing correctly, so we'll deal with it. All right, so here's the first thing. The first thing that we want to do here is, and we're going to go to the Pages panel to do this. What we want to do is we want to start changing the numbering system here. All right, now this has already been done, okay? But again, the very first one is going to be page 34. So I want to make sure I'm going to actually get my pen here, and I'm going to make notes again. 34, and then 35, and then last page is 65. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the page numbering on this page, and on the final page. Forget the back cover. There's no numbering. Okay, that's just to make sure that you know where we're going. So what I'm going to do is, notice that I got my spread selected. You can see the highlighting is over both pages, the spread. I don't want that. I just want the page 2 selected. So I've selected page 2. This says page 2 here. This one is not page 2 though. This page is actually set to 34. So you'll see this in a second. What I do is with the page, make sure you got the page that you want to affect selected. This is critical. You're going to go to the drop-down menu here, and you're going to come down to numbering and sections options right here. Now, start page numbering at, and we're going to call this page 34. 34. Hit OK. Numbering the section already exists. Duplicate pages can be hit OK because we'll fix that. There's 34. This is page 33. So this one here, what we're going to do is we're going to double click on that one, select it, and we're going to make this page numbering in sections. We're going to make that 35. This is going to be 35. And then hit OK. Okay, so this is now 35. Now, if we go to the next spread, this is 36. There's no number there, but we know it's 36 because this is page 37, which is what it should be. Now we're going to go to this one here, this spread here, and this is now 38. We know that's correct. This is 65. Remember, I changed this to 65. Okay, so if I click on this one, and if I go to page numbering and sections, you'll see that start page numbering at, this is going to be 65. All right, I'm not going to do it because it's already done. All right, I'm just going to leave this alone. I'm just going to hit cancel. It's already done. So essentially, what we were supposed to do is we were supposed to set this to 65, which you would do. I've done it already, so I didn't want to undo it. Okay, notice that the continued from page 34 is now reading page 34 because that was the first page. That was the page that we changed first. And because this is a continuation from that page and it's linked, it's going to read where it comes from, page 34. So this is important for you to understand. This is what we're doing. Let's go back to this front page again. Let's go to this first spread here. Now this is page 34. This is page 35. There's no continued on from this point forward, but I just want to take a moment and I just want to verify that that's 35. We'll do this again. There's 36. There's 37. You can see this. There's 38. And there is 65. 65 is the last page. So we changed the numbering for this page, which is that page right there. We changed the page numbering on that page right there. And this one went to 34. Then the next one, 35. And then the last one we changed from, I guess it would have been 36 to 37, and we made this 65, okay? Now, if we go back to page 2, I also want to point out that this here says continued on page 65. So this now is done and it's complete. And again, all you have to do in order to do that is to know which pages you want to change the numbering on. They would be page, what's reading here in our layout as page 2. This page right here, page 2, is going to become page 34, and you do it here and here. And then this one here will be page 35. And since this is page 34, I'm not even sure why they want that. Is that correct? That can't be right. Wait a minute, I made a mistake here. This is page 34. Yeah, this is page 35. You're right. That's good. Page 35. So this is page 34. This is page 35. So actually, in reality, you should only have to do this one. You shouldn't even have to do this one, because if this is 34, that should automatically be 35, then 36, 37, 38. And then the last one here, you're going to change from 39 to 65. And all you do again with this is you're going to come here and you're going to go to numbering and sections and then change the numbering. Change the numbering, start page numbering at 65. That's it, real simple. So really, in reality, you only got to do 2. It's only this guy right here, and you're going to change that numbering in sections to 34. Okay, so you're going to start the page numbering at 34. It's going to go 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. Then you're going to come in here and you're going to click on this, and you're going to go numbering and sections, change it to 65. That's it. And that will all be set, and that will be ready for you, and you'll be good to go. Okay, I hope I made that clear enough for you that you'll understand how to do this. It is not that difficult to do, and it is the kind of thing that's very important to do, because at some point you may be working with somebody else on a page layout for a magazine, and you may be working on part of the magazine, and somebody else may be making a part of the magazine. And you may need to make sure that the section you're working on is the correct section, and the numbers of the pages that you're working on are on the right numbers, the right page numbers. So that's how you do that. That's how you set the page numbers up correctly. Again, not too difficult to do. I hope you are not confused by it. If you are confused, you can send me an email, or you can give me a phone call, and I'll work with you a little bit on it, or come and see me in Blackboard. I honestly think after I demonstrated this the few times that I did, you should be good. Okay? So really, that kind of like covers what I wanted to cover here. Now, the last thing I do before we get out of here is I want to start working. Oh, I want to point out a couple of other things. Yes, I want to point out 2 other things, that just before we get to the point where we're going to export this stuff, you want to make sure that everything is exactly the way you want it to be. This is actually very critical. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to take a look down at the bottom here and make sure that there are no errors showing. This is showing no errors. If I had an error, this would be red. And I would click here, and I could go and show the Preflight panel. Here's the Preflight panel, and what it would do is the Preflight panel would show me my errors in here. Now, as it stands right now, there's no errors, so there's no errors being displayed. But in fact, if there were an error, you'd be able to literally drill down through that error and find out exactly what and where that error is, and you would be able to fix that error. So before you start exporting anything, from this point forward, now when we were working on the other layout pages, it wasn't so critical, because at that point, if you made a mistake, I was going to look at the paper, I was going to hopefully catch it, and I would put it in my critique and have you adjust it. But now we're at the end. This is the final step. This is the last thing that you're going to do, and you're going to upload this stuff. So before you do it, you want to make sure that you do these things, just to make sure that everything that you could possibly do to make sure that this thing is correct is done. All right, so this would be the first thing. Come down here and check that no errors are showing. And in mine, they aren't. If they are, you'll see them show here. You can drill down into them by double-clicking on them and double-clicking and going down until you find where the error is. And it will tell you essentially what that error is, or show you what that error is, and you could, in fact, fix that error. That's the first thing. So I'm going to close this. Now the second thing. We talked about the concept of saving this file. What you probably should do is you should probably package this file. The reason you want to package this file is because by packaging it, what you're doing is you're extracting all the pictures from wherever they are in the folders that they exist when you built this thing, and they're put in a folder, in a packaged folder. And it's kind of a neat arrangement where your images and your fonts and your file is all saved in this packaged state, which you can then save, and that's the one that you could go back in later on and edit. So I've done this. I've actually created a video. I'm going to do it one more time just to make sure we go through this process and it is absolutely crystal clear to you. All you do to package this is you go to the File menu and you come down to where it says Package, and you get the Package dialog box. Give it a second. It'll come up. There it is. All right, now, one of the things that I did was I left 5 images in RGB color because I wanted to show you what an error looks like. This is what you look for when you package your project. You look for errors in here. This is a summary panel. There are links and images, there's colors and inks, there's print settings, and there's external plugins. You can go in and you can look at each one of these things separately. But personally, I just like to look at the summary, because the summary tells you exactly the same information. And what it's telling you essentially is that it's found 11 fonts that were used in this. When they say 11 fonts, there are things like bolds and bold italics, regular, ultralight, all these different fonts. So there are 11 different fonts that are being used. I used some Times in here. I used some, what's the other one? Bernard or whatever it was. I forget what it was. But anyway, I used 11 different fonts. What it's telling me, and this is the thing that you're looking for right there, that yellow triangle with the exclamation point. You don't see that there. You don't see it there. You don't see it there. Or do you see it there? You see it here. We'll get to that in a minute. 11 fonts are being used. None of them are missing. None of them are embedded. None of them are incomplete. None of them are protected. So when you see 0000, you're all good to go. And that's why you're not seeing that triangle. Okay? Now, let's look at links and images. Links and images, there are 19 links that have been found. None have been modified at this point, so you don't see any indicated there. None are missing. You don't see anything indicated there. None are inaccessible, so that's okay. Nothing's happening there. And none are embedded. However, 5 use RGB color space. Now, I've made a point of talking to you about this many times through the course. It's very important that your images are not in RGB color space. Again, why are they in my piece? Because I deliberately left them that way so that when I go to my package, you can see them come up and show that, you know, they're in RGB. There's 2 ways that you can fix this. Number one, you can cancel out of here and you can go back to your links panel. There it is right there. You can go back to your links panel and you could open up the image in the links panel and open the image from within the links panel into Adobe Photoshop and change the color mode like I demonstrated in class. which is basically go to image mode and then change it from RGB to CMYK. It's very simple to do, and then save the file. Very simple, but you'd have to do that on 5 of them. And what's very important for you to do is when you're at this point, it's probably a good idea to package it, to check yourself to make sure that you have done this properly. You know, I'm going to get a PDF from you, so I'm not really going to be able to check this. But the important thing for you to understand is I'm trying to tell you that you should do this because as a graphic designer, you should want to do everything the right way. I mean, it may not really count 100% here in this course, but in reality, in the real life world, it will count. So it's something that you should start doing. All these little things that I'm telling you to do, you should do because they really count when you actually get to the point where you're building something for real, okay? Which is probably going to be sooner than you think. So it's the kind of thing that you should do this right. So that's the reason I left this, so that you could actually see what an error looks like. And I've shown you this before because we've been through this before, okay? Now, the colors and inks are another very important thing. We have what are known as process color inks, and we have spot color inks. As you can see here, I don't have an alert there. And if I had, this magazine will print as a 4-color process job right there. Spot color inks. What a spot color ink is, in case you don't know, spot color ink is a pre-mixed color. It's a solid pre-mixed color, one singular color. And in order for that to print in your document, it has to have its own plate. So the normal run of process color is 4-color, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, 4 plates. If you use a spot plate, you're introducing another plate. And that means that there's an extra prep and extra setup involved in doing that, and that means extra money. Now, the only reason that you would do that is if the client requests it. A good example might be if you're familiar with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola uses a very specific red color. Now, they probably do have a CMYK equivalent that they use, but if they want real exactitude, they have a Coca-Cola red that they use, and they use that as a spot color ink so that they get the exact red that they're looking for. So I'm just giving you that as an example so that you understand what's going on. And the important thing is I'm trying to show you some of the things that you need to be aware of and what you need to be doing when you're dealing with an InDesign file. If you were to just send me an InDesign file without doing this packaging and I tried to open it up, because this thing hasn't been checked and hasn't been packaged, I would have a problem with the fonts if I don't have the fonts on my machine. Your fonts are, let's see here, none of them are embedded. You see where it says none of them embedded? Now, it says 19 links found. So if it's not embedded, they're links. Now, if you send me an InDesign file without packaging it, it's going to look for these links on my computer, and they're not going to find those links on my computer because the thing wasn't designed on my computer, and you haven't packaged it. So the images will not be within the package, and what will happen is the project will open up, and I will get all sorts of error messages. If I don't have the fonts, I'll get error messages, and if it can't find the links, I'll get error messages, and it'll be a mess. So that's why packaging is important. And it's even important for you because then this way, what you've done is you've taken your final project, you've packaged it. That's the project that you should keep for the future. It's very critical that you understand this stuff. When I tell you this stuff, when I go over this stuff, I'm not just doing it to waste time. I'm doing it because all this is extremely important for you to be aware of. And I want to do the best job that I possibly can to explain this stuff to you so that you understand going ahead how important this is. And you'll know for the future to just do this stuff. Because I do. Whenever I create projects like this, I go through this process. And it isn't that big of a deal once you understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to ignore this for the time being because this is something that you would look for. And this you shouldn't be finding in the first place because if you remember each time we did one of our articles, the first thing I did was I went in and I messed with the copy a little bit to remove the extra spacing. And if you also remember, one of the things that I did was I also went into the photos that we were going to use and I converted them from RGB to CMYK. So I did all that in advance. The only reason that you're seeing 5 used RGB color space is because I deliberately put them in there to throw that error so that you could see it and I could explain it to you. You won't do this. This is something you should deal with before you even begin. One of the things that you do is as soon as you get your group of pictures that you're going to use, what you should do is you should convert them to TIFFs, which we did, and you should change them from RGB into CMYK. So again, very important that you do this. In my case, it's for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit Package. Now, publication must be saved before continuing. I just want to explain what this means. This means essentially that a folder is being built. You don't do it, the program does it. It builds a folder. And inside the folder, there are 3 things. There's another folder that says images, where all the images that are in your document are going to end up. They're going to actually be extracted from wherever they are, and they're going to be put in that folder, and they're going to link to this document, this publication that you are going to be saving. Okay, the fonts are also going to be brought into a folder within the package, which will then have you'll have access to those fonts if I need them on my computer, or if a printer needs them on their computer. And then, of course, it's going to save that document within that folder. What this step is doing is it's telling you it's beginning that process. So we hit Save, and now I get this thing, printing instructions. Essentially, printing instructions are exactly what they say they are. They're just bits of information that you would send along with your file to the printer. Obviously, the name of the file would be important. I'm not going to actually fill these out. I kind of filled them out a little bit. I'm just mostly going to explain them to you. But what you would do is you would probably name your file. That would make sense. Contact. More than likely, you would be the contact because you're the designer. You're the person that's laying this out. So you would be the contact. If you want, you could put your company in. That's optional. The address, you could put the address in. Again, it's optional. When you get to the phone number and the email and the instructions, these are kind of important because if for some reason a printer has a question, you want to have a phone number there where you can be reached. That's kind of critical. So you would put that phone number in there. If the printer sees that you've done something wrong, he's going to contact you, and he's going to tell you what's wrong. Believe me, they will, if they're a good printer. And you're going to be able to work with that printer to get it straightened out. So you want to give him a phone number to you, your name. And then email, you also put your email in there because he may send you an email with some kind of a confirmation that he received it, or if he has a question, he may, instead of calling you, he may email you. Probably he'll call you, but the email is important as well. Instructions. Instructions are optional, but instructions kind of give you the opportunity to put into this thing whatever you think you would like to tell this printer to make sure he understands something that you want him to understand. Now, what that is, I can't tell you, but you can use your imagination. There might be some very specific thing within the context of what you're doing here that you just want to make sure that you clearly state to him, all right? That's what those instructions would be. So these are semi-important in that, you know, you should put a contact in, you should put a phone number in, you should put an email in, and of course, instructions are optional, but if you have something you want to tell them, there's where you do it. So I'll hit continue. And now I get this publication dialog box, and this allows me to do a couple of things. First of all, it allows me to choose, I'm going to go to my desktop, which I'm already on. It allows me to choose where I'm going to package this whole thing, okay? Now, let's see what I got here. I think I got week final exports. All right, here we go, final export. I created this folder. It's on my desktop called final exports. Why I did it is because I want to end up putting everything in the final exports so that I could show you what I've created. So in final exports, I'm going to double click it to open it. Now let's see what's going on here. You're going to look at the check marks. You're going to copy fonts except CJK and Typekit. You're going to copy linked graphics, update graphic links in package. Now, I just explained this thing to you a moment ago, and I explained to you that there will be a folder with fonts in it. There will be a folder with graphics in it. There will be an INDD file within this package which is updated to connect to those graphics and those fonts within the package. Very important that you understand this. Now, also over here, you can include a PDF for print. And I'm going to include that. And I'm also going to include an IDML file. Okay, so here I have two things that I'm going to do, and I could even come in here if I want, and I could decide how I want this thing to, how this PDF should be produced. I'm going to leave it just basically at high quality print, and the only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to, what's the name of the magazine? I forget the name of the magazine. It's, I'm just going to call it Magazine, M-A-G-A-Z-I-N-E, because I can't think of the name. Magazine Layout. That's what I'll, L-A-Y-O-U-T, Layout. Magazine Layout. So I changed the name. It's going to go in Final Exports on my desktop and Magazine Layout. And now here are my instructions. If I want to go back to my instructions, I can click this and go back to my instructions. If I decided at the last minute I want to change something, I'm not going to bother doing that. But I am going to hit Package. And I get this warning. This basically is telling me that there are fonts in here that you're allowed to give to your service provider to use in this project only. That's really all this is saying. It's kind of like one of these things that they just do it. And you get this. If you want to get to the point where you don't want to ever see this again, all you have to do is click Don't Show Again. The reason I've never clicked Don't Show Again is because I want it to come up so that I can explain to you what it is and how it's not that important, so that when it comes up to you, you don't sit there and puzzle over it. So really, it's just telling you that you are not allowed to, the printer who you're sending this project to is not allowed to use any of the fonts that are in there for anything but this particular project. One of the most important things for you to understand is printers probably have every font that there is. These guys, if you can say one thing about them, they have all the fonts. And the reason they have all the fonts is because they work on so many different projects that they want to be absolutely certain that they have no trouble when it comes to actually opening up and designing with the InDesign file that they're sent. So most of these good printers have every font you can imagine already. That doesn't mean you shouldn't package this and send the fonts to them. It should be done just as a rule, but they generally have you covered. Okay? So again, I don't show this because I like to explain it. I'm going to hit OK. And now it's going to package that file. Here it goes. It's packaging the document. Okay? So it's going to actually extract all the links, which are the images. It's going to grab the fonts, and it's going to recreate the document in a folder, and we're going to end up with a folder with two folders inside and a printed document. That is your packaged file. My recommendation is after you get done completely with this and you got everything correct, that's the file you want to end up keeping. It's really important that you do that. And this takes a few seconds because it's a lot of information that it's extracting and packaging. There you go. Here we go. It's coming. See, it's saving a copy of the document. And that's done. Now, before I go in and show you this package, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through the process of creating a PDF. Now, we did actually make a PDF already, but I'm going to go through the process of making a PDF so that you understand the proper way to make the PDF for this submission. Then I'm going to show you how to create the JPEGs that are necessary to upload to Behance, because when we get to Behance, I'm going to demonstrate how I try to put a PDF into Behance and it will fail. So once that happens, you'll understand, because I've had people come into Blackboard a number of times telling me, oh, I was supposed to put a PDF up onto Behance and it won't take the PDF. And I explained to them, PDFs do not work in Behance. And they're like, but my instructor tells me that, you know, I have to put a PDF up there. No, your instructor didn't tell you that you don't put a PDF up there. You should be putting JPEGs up there. I'm telling you that. And they were like terrified that I was telling them something that their instructor, you know, would not want them to do, when in fact, that's the way to do it. So I'm making a point of this because it's kind of critical that you understand, and I'll show you in a minute what I'm talking about, all right? So let me close these things off here. I don't need these anymore. Let me get that out of here. All right, so now let's go File, and let's go to, we have Adobe PDF presets. If I wanted to, I can define them, or I can simply go to export. Now I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to go to Final Exports, and I'm going to call this Final Magazine, and I want to make sure that I choose Adobe PDF Print. That's critical. So I'm putting it in my Final Exports. You'll put it wherever you want to put it so that you could find it, because this is what you're going to be putting up online into that site, whatever the name of it is. I can't even think of it right now. So really, Final Magazine, Adobe PDF Print. I hit Save. I get this document. Mine is set to high quality print. Here you can change this if you want. You can go to high quality print. Now high quality print is the highest quality. If you want, you can set it to press quality, which is slightly lower quality. First of all, let me read to you. See, based on high quality print, use these settings to create Adobe PDF documents for quality printing. There's the key word, quality printing, on desktop publishers, printers, and proofers. Created PDF documents can be opened with Acrobat and Acrobat Reader 5.0 and later. So actually, high quality print is the slightly lower quality. So if you want, come here to this one. See where it says press quality? I'm just going to switch it to press quality so I can show you what that means. Use these settings to create Adobe PDF documents best suited for high quality pre-press printing. This is the highest quality printing. It's going to be the largest file, and it's going to be the clearest and cleanest resolution, which is around 300 pixels per inch. This you don't need. Now, it also gives you the option of coming down here to smallest file size. I would not even recommend smallest file size, because what it will do is it will literally, let's see here. Yeah, and it doesn't give you much. It doesn't give you much to do with this. You're basically just stuck with whatever it gives you. I would not use smallest file size. In fact, what I would use is I wouldn't go to press quality. I would go to high quality print. Okay, so go to high quality print. Come to the page area here and make sure that you click on all, and make sure that you hit spreads. So all 8 pages, because that's how many they are, and set them as spreads. This is probably the most important thing right here. All, make sure it says 8, and make sure it says spreads. That's really all there is to this. That's not that difficult. The rest of this stuff, you can optimize this for fast web view, create tagged PDF. I don't know whether you need that or not. View PDF after exporting, that's an option. Generally, I do this. Why? So that when it's done exporting it, it will automatically open this up in Acrobat, and I can see whether or not I got what I'm looking for. So all 8 as spreads. That's what you're looking for. And again, high quality print, and view after exporting, and hit export. And it's in the process of exporting it. See here, it's showing you right here that it's processing. That's that weird little graphic right there, you see. And it should open in Acrobat. There you go. And I did this last night, so this should work just fine. This is my first page. Now watch as I scroll this thing down, watch what happens to the first page. It's going to get small. See it? It's going to get small because now it's showing you the spreads. So there are my spreads. There are my spreads. And these are all correct. There are my spreads. And there's my back page. Okay? That is the proper way to submit your final PDF. Very important that you understand this. So I'm going to close this off, and that's done. There's one thing left that I have to do, and that is I want to be able to export these things as JPEGs. The reason I want to export them as JPEGs is because Behance will not take PDFs. I really don't think they will take them at all. I have no way. I've tried several times, and unless somebody knows something that I don't know, they don't want to open up as PDFs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to export these as JPEGs. So once again, what you're going to do is go to the File menu to do this, and you're going to go to Export, okay, because you're exporting this. Now look, on the PC, on my desktop, in my Final Exports, I have my packaged folder, okay, and I have my Final Magazine. Now what I want to do with this is I want to change this from Adobe PDF print. I want to change them down to JPEGs, okay? So what I'm going to be getting now is I'm going to be getting a series of JPEGs out of this, okay? That's the only thing you really have to do is change it to JPEGs and hit save and export all pages, okay? I'm going to go quality high and resolution 72 pixels per inch, color space RGB. The reason I'm doing this is, and I'm making sure that I have these settings, is because these are going to be going online and they should be correctly set up. Image quality can be high, that's fine. Resolution doesn't need to be more than 72 pixels per inch, and the color space should be RGB. So just verify that that says high 72 RGB. You can embed this color profile. We don't really need to do that, so I'm going to get rid of it. Anti-alias, I'm going to leave that on. I'm not going to use the document bleed settings, and I'm going to hit export. And I may be done. Let's see. Yep, I think I'm done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over here. Let's see where I have it. All exports. Here's my folder, all exports. I'm going to double click and open it up. And look at what we find. This is important. Here's what we find. We find our package. This is the first thing I created, my packaged piece. I'll show you that in a minute. This is the cover for the magazine. There's the final magazine PDF. And there are the 3 spreads, and there's the final magazine back cover. There's a front cover. That's a JPEG. See, look at item type JPEG file. Item type JPEG file. Item type JPEG file, and so on and so on. And then there's my final magazine. I'm going to double click on that to open it up, and there it is. And as I scroll down, you'll see what it does. It gets smaller. There are my spreads. So this is correct. All this is correct. See how I did it? All this is correct for uploading. And then finally, I make a big deal out of packaging. This is the packaged file, okay? Now, if you want, you could change this from magazine layout, and then you can type in magazine layout package. Now, the reason I did that is so that it is absolutely crystal clear to me and to you that this is your final piece. This is the piece that you're going to save for the future. This is a great time to do this because now you've got everything you need to create this document properly. Watch. You open this up and look what you got. You have in here final exports. You have the document fonts. You have links. Watch this, document fonts. Look at, there are your fonts. These are all the fonts that are used. And if I were a printer, all I would have to do is double click on this thing and it will open up, and I would be able to install this on my computer by clicking install. Now I ain't going to do that because I already have this installed on my computer. And if I click on it, it's just going to say, hey, I'm already on your computer. But if I was a printer and I didn't have Gotham Bold and you were using it in your publication, you could see right here that the printer could open this up and he could install that font. And then when he opens your document up, the document will be correct. That's what you need to know. That's what you need to understand. Okay? So there we go. We're done with that. All the rest of these things do exactly the same thing. They just open up and they give you the option to install it. I have all these on my computer. If you sent me yours and I didn't have a particular font, I would go in and I would launch these into my computer if they would go into my computer. Yours is a Mac, mine's a PC. This is another thing that you should know. There are times when fonts from a Mac will not go into a PC. So there could be instances where you have a font that I might not be able to open because it is not set up to go into a PC. But that's not common, but it does happen. Go back to magazine layout package. Here are my links. These are my links. Now, all of these are my links in here. Okay, now if you remember correctly, a few of these images are not in RGB. I'm sorry, are not in CMYK. A few of these images are in RGB. So what I could do now, if I wanted to, is I could open up these images in Photoshop from in here, and I could convert them to RGB right now. And if I did that, they would be correct. So it's a possible way to deal with this is to actually package it and then come in here, and I'll show you real quickly by doing one. Let me open up my Photoshop real quickly. I think this herbs is one that's in RGB. Okay, I think this is in RGB. We'll find out in a second when this thing opens. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So you don't want to end up doing this. The only reason I'm doing it is because I showed you by demonstration that my images were RGB, and I left them that way deliberately so you could see that error message. But if you do miss an image and you do see that it comes up as being in RGB, you could very easily package this and then come in and change the image from RGB to CMYK. And it's easy to do. Just takes a moment to open up Photoshop, and I will show you how easy it is to do this. It's just not that difficult. But these things are important. I mean, they're absolutely critical. And I can't tell you enough how important these things are in terms of the production aspect of working with Adobe InDesign. These are technical issues that are critical. So I, again, don't do this just to waste time. I do this because I want to make sure that it has been properly impressed in your mind how important these things are to understand and to do. And this thing should open up now. There we go. And let me just go File, Open. Go to File, Open. It's not quite open yet. There we go. Open. And let me go to my desktop. Go to my desktop real quick. Desktop. And let's go to Final Exports, and I'm going to go into my links. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this guy right here, I think he's one of the ones that are RGB. We'll find out, though. Let's open, and let's see if it's RGB. Let's see what it is. Nope, that's CMYK, so I'm wrong. Let me try it one more time. File, Open. Actually, I think it's this guy right here. If I didn't, let me see. Nope, I changed it to CMYK. All right, let me try one more time. Let me go File, Open. Let's go back. Let's try one more. Come on. Here we go. All right, let me try. Let me see which one it was. You know which one I think it is, actually? I think this one is. Let's hit Open. Here we come. RGB. See it? RGB. Okay, so this guy here is in the wrong color mode. So it's simple. All you have to do is go to the image and go to mode and change it from RGB to CMYK. And it'll ask me if I want to merge the layers. And this is a TIFF. Let me see, where is it? Yeah, a TIFF. So yeah, I want to merge it. Hit merge. And I'm okay with this. And watch what happens. The layers are all going to go down. See, it's been merged. And it's now CMYK. And I close it. And it asks me, do I want to save the changes? Absolutely, I do. And I hit yes. And I close it. Now, let me explain to you what's going to happen. This guy here will close as soon as it gets done. Yes, as soon as it's done, it'll close. Now, when I go to open up my InDesign file that's in my package, when I go to open this up, let me go to this. When I go to open this document up right here, which I'm not going to do right now, okay? When I go to open this thing up, I am going to get a message telling me that an image has been modified. And do I want to relink it? If I do click, and I'll click, and it will relink the image to the modified image, and it'll all be fine. So that's really what it is. So there's your PDF in here. This is the PDF that it's saved in here. There's your document font, your links. There's your piece. This here is this is the file, that notes file that you have. So that's packaging, okay? So there are your pieces right there. This is everything that I just did. There's your package. There's your final PDF. These are your JPEGs, which are going to be used for Behance. All right, that's what you need to understand, and these are the different things that you should know how to do and what you will need to do. You're going to send me this right here for your final submission, for your final grade. That's what you're going to send me. It's actually, I don't even know whether you're going to send it to me. I think you're going to send me links. At any rate, whatever the instructions tell you to do, you do, but this is what you're going to be using. This is something that I recommend that you do because it's telling you that you want to save your file. I recommend that you do this. And then, of course, these things here are for your Behance. All right. So let's see. Let's go back to here, and let's go to let's start by going to Behance. Okay. So here's Behance. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with Behance, but it's Behance.com or Behance.net. And what you have to do is you either have to create an account, or if you already have an account, which my guess is you probably already have an account, what you'd have to do is you'd have to log into your account, and you would have to get into your pages, your portfolio pages, and you're going to upload a new project. Okay, so here's the deal. Add your first project, upload files. So what I want to do is I want to open up my file exports, and I want to show you a little bit about how this works. So here's my exports. Now, I told you that in the past I've had a number of students come to me and tell me that they had PDFs and they were trying to upload the PDFs into Behance and they weren't successful doing it. Well, there's a reason for that. Watch. I'm going to click on my PDF. It says upload files. Click on this PDF, and I'm going to drag this and drop it right in here. Well, actually, let's see. What did it do here? Let me see. Maybe it did bring it in. I can't get this over here. I don't think this is Behance. I don't know what it's done here. I think it just basically, yeah, I don't think it did what I wanted it to do. Let me go back. All right, let's go to Behance. Let's try it this way. So I don't think it did that. I think it just opened it. So let's go upload files. Let's see what happens. Loading project editor. So upload files. Okay, here we go. So here's the deal. We have the option to upload files, text, embed, Lightroom photos, CC files, and PhotoGrid. So I'm going to upload files, all right? And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab the file of the final magazine, which is the PDF. All right, that's what you would think we would want to upload. All right, and actually, I'm going to go to my desktop. Let me go to my desktop. Let me do it this way. Let's go to Final Exports, and there's the actual PDF that I want to upload. And let me hit open and watch what happens. I get this message: please upload a file with these extensions. JPEG, oh, it goes away. Well, anyway, it's telling me that it is not a file that it can understand. So here's what we want to do is we want to click on this again, and we want to upload a JPEG. So let's hit open, and there's our JPEG, okay? And we're going to hit save, all right? And then we're going to go upload files again, and we're going to click on the second one and hit open, see? And hit save. See how this is working out really nicely. And then let's hit continue. And actually, let me just go back to close this thing, cancel. Let's go to upload files again. And let's go to the third one and hit open. There we go. And then upload files. I don't do this all that often, so I'm not 100% solid with this, but hit open. You see how we're getting this? And then upload files. There's my final page. Upload. Hit save. Okay. Now, if I want, I can come in here. I can add text. I can embed media. I just want to hit preview so that you could see what's going on. Hit preview. And here's my preview. All right. And I should be able to. This is a pain. Let's go back. All right, let's go to Let's see here. Publish lists. Where are we at here? All right, let's see. Publication lists. William Sweeney. Where's my page? I forget how to do this because I don't really use this very often. Well, anyway, I've got them up there. I don't know. I don't use this very often, so I'm a little bit lost with this. More than likely, you've probably dealt with this a little bit better, and I'm just not finding this. Let's see here. Explore, collaborate, profile, purchase stock, following, help out. What are we in? Oh, this is ISSUU. That's the problem. Behance. There we go. I'm in the wrong one. All right, so let's go back to, click back to this. Let's see if we can figure this out. Let's see here. Project views. Price. Statistics. Where is my project? Create a project. Project editor. Well, I already uploaded this. I'm not sure. Let's go to preview. See, I'm getting preview, but I'm not seeing what the problem I'm having with this is. I'm not able to see my full project. I just saw that one upload, and I don't know why that is. Anyway, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure how this thing is supposed to work. I really don't use it very often. Activity. Let's see here. Nope. I already created a project. Let's go to profile. Project drafts. First project. Add your first project. So why? Let's try it again. Let's go to files. Let's click on this and hit open. All right. And let's go to continue. Nope. I want to go upload files. Oh, wait. Continue. Let me see here. Upload image. Here. Please choose an image that is at least 800 pixels wide. So I think part of the problem is that these images might be too big. Let's hit save. All right, let's upload another file. Let's see if we can get these upload. Hold on. Okay, so there that is. And let's upload files. And hit save. And upload files and hit OK. And upload files and hit open. Okay, now let's see here. There they are. They're all there. Let's see if we can save this. Save it. Hopefully that's saved. Okay. Hopefully that's saved. And let's hit preview. All right. And now, there we go. Okay. So there it is. There it is. All right. So there's your Behance. And what you're going to do ultimately is you're going to upload this. And this is why I went to the trouble of explaining this to you, because you're not going to really, I don't think you're really going to be able to get PDFs in Behance. And I think what you're going to ultimately have to do is you're going to have to export them as JPEGs like I did, and you're going to have to put them up here, okay? So it's really important for you to understand that. So that's Behance. That's what you're going to do for Behance. And now let's go to ISSUU, because ISSUU is the next one. This, again, is not something I'm terribly familiar with because, again, I have not used this before. I did upload one time to this, and it works quite cool. So we're going to try it again together. ISSUU, if you haven't used it, you're going to have to come in here, and you're going to have to go to the ISSUU homepage, and you're going to have to either do one of two things. If you have used this before, you're going to have to sign in, which I'm already signed in. Okay, here I am, and I'm already signed in. Okay, so I can sign out if I want, but I don't want to. Or what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to create an account. And all you do to create an account, fill in some basic information. There's 3 or 4 different choices. One of them is a free, which is what I'm using, the free. See here, upgrade. There's a basic plan. You can upgrade to premium. I'm just using the free. I'm going to click on upload. Select the file to get started, or simply drop your documents here. One of the things I like about ISSUU is that it's very similar to how I work with YouTube. YouTube, I can drag and drop items into it, which is what I can do here. So I'm going to drag this over a little bit. I'm going to take my final magazine and I'm going to drag and drop it here. And now it is actually processing this. It'll take a few moments to do that. Okay, and then I can come in here, Final Magazine, and I can call this whatever I want to call this. I'm going to call this Magazine Project for DES dash, what is it? DES-243. What is it? 243? Yeah. DES 243, and that is an 8-page layout. All right. And PAGE, I didn't spell that very well. Okay, 8-page layout, period. I could write more if I want, but that should do it. Original date of publication. We're going to call it November 21st. Okay. Allow download. I don't want to allow download. Include detective links. I'm just going to leave them all default for now. Publish now. And what should happen is in a moment, I should get another window. Continue. Oh, this is a magazine. There we go. Continue. Just continue publication list. Here we go. There we are. It's converting it. Give it a minute. It's just not really difficult, and it's actually fun, and it's actually pretty cool. When you get this done, it's really kind of neat. It's a great, great thing. It does take a little bit of time to convert. See, you got to wait. You got to be patient. Give it a chance to convert. Once it converts, you're going to have something that you can preview. So give it a second to do this. You don't have any control over that. There we go. All right, now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to preview this thing. Let's see if I can preview it. Publish now. Let's see here. Open. There we go. There we go. Isn't this great? And now you've got this, and you can basically take a look at your book. Sweet, isn't it? Really sweet. So there it is. Okay? That's how you basically do it. Again, I apologize for my clumsiness with both ISSUU and Behance. I don't use either one of them an awful lot, so I don't have enough background with it to be really clean and sure myself with it. But this is basically it. Now, there's one other one up here that I'm not going to even bother with, but it's Adobe. If I can find it, I think this is it. Adobe Portfolio. So here's Adobe Portfolio. Now, I guess the bottom line with Adobe Portfolio, it's the same basic thing here. You go to your files, and you're going to come into your desktop, go to your desktop, and you're going to go to Final Exports. And again, I think what you have to do is you have to put JPEGs in here, okay? So you're going to do your JPEGs. You're going to come in here, and you're going to upload more files, okay? Upload more files. There you go. Upload more files. All right. This is you get access to, just so that you understand, you get access to Adobe Portfolio from Behance. So that's where I found this. All right. So it's important for you to know where to get it. You get it through Behance. You can find it listed in there. So upload files and click on the next to last one. Hit open, and let's click the last one and hit open, and then save pages, and it's saving. Hopefully it should save all of them. I think it might have. Let's check it out and see. Yeah, hopefully it did. Let's see. And let's hit preview. Let's see if we get it. There we go. I think we did. My work page. Boom, 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 boom. I love it. There it is. Guys, there you go. Okay, so there are 3 that you should take advantage of. Finally, what you should do is your ISSUU, your Behance, and your Adobe portfolio. Okay, and again, just as a final note, let's come back to here. This magazine layout is your packaged file. This you save for yourself so that you can go back to this later on and make any adjustments that you would like. There's your final PDF. That is the final submission, and you're going to upload that to ISSUU, and if it instructs you to do so, you're going to upload that to me for grading, okay? And then, of course, what you want to do is you want to export these things again as JPEGs, just the way I showed you how to do. And you'll use them for Behance and for your Adobe portfolio. Okay? That's it. So I'm done with all of this. I hope this works out for you very good. What we're going to do now is, I'm going to hit yes to save this thing. What I'm going to do now is I got 12:20. We've got like about 35, 40 minutes left, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, about 40 minutes left to the class. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through some of the student work that I have. Several of you sent stuff in. I'm going to go through them a little bit, take a look at them, and make some comments about them, okay? So that's what I'm going to do with the rest of the time. And then, of course, I'll upload this for you. And tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving. So let's go File, Open, and let me go to my desktop, and let me go to DES-243, week 4, and let's go into critique. Okay, so we have Rachel, we have Robert, we have Troy, Nicole, and Robert again, and then McFall. I'm not sure of the name. Let's see if I can figure it out. Heather. I was going to say Heather. All right, so let's see here. We got InDesign markup. Let's go to Heather McFall. Let's open this one up here. Oh, and by the way, just so that you know, before we do this, it's packaged. So again, you have document fonts in here. Okay, I'm not seeing any document fonts, so hopefully I don't have a problem. And links, I'm not seeing any links, so hopefully I won't have a problem. Let's try to open it and see what happens. So I'm going to double click to open this thing. It's opening. Document contains links to sources that have been modified. Update the links. So this is easy. All we have to do is update the links, and it will update the links automatically for me. And basically, I'm here. I got it. We're good. Okay. Yeah. I mean, this will work. I can at least go through this, and I can give you a critique on it. So here's the deal. There's your pages. Okay. As you can see, they're all basically there. Now, as far as a critique is concerned, it looks to me like, generally speaking, things are working fairly well with this. There's a couple of things that I think would probably be fixed. First of all, the first thing that jumps out to me is that you have this life, kids, and brain injury, one mom's journey to health. What I would do with this is I would set this up to be more of a headline, subheadline, where I would have life, kids, and brain injury as the headline. And then what I would do is I would change this secondary line, one mom's journey. I would do this, okay? And what I would try to do is I'd try to make this size bigger. I'd try to go bigger with this, you know, like come up around 24, somewhere in that neighborhood, something like that. And then maybe just, you know, go to paragraph. Let me get paragraph out. I'm just doing these things quickly to give you some ideas. I'd go some space after to move that down a little bit. Doesn't seem to be wanting to do it. Let me try it again. There we go. Now it's going down. I know why, because you have baseline grid set up, and you probably have the baseline grid too big. Let's go to edit. Let's go to file, edit preferences. Here we go. Let's see what your baseline grid is. Grids. 10.75. No, I guess it's okay. What size is this type? You look like you got a couple of different types here. There might be a problem with that. You just see. You got the layers locked. Yeah, they are. Unlock the layers. So this text here, that's 9 point, and that's 11 point. So the first thing that you have to do, Heather, is you have to take this and you have to get the text to be the same size. It all should be one size. If you're going to go with 11, it should all be 11. If it's going to be 10, which is fine, it's got to be all 10. So you really can't have two different size fonts here. It just doesn't work. And it especially doesn't work on the same page. So that's kind of important. But again, what I'm looking at here is this thing here, you know, again, just making this thing a little bit better by making this more of a headline, more of a sub-headline kind of a deal, all right? And make sure that you have your fonts the same size. This going from 9 point over here, right, to 11, not good. You really need to have it one size kind of a deal. Don't ever put an underline on a headline like that. It just is not a really good way to go. You know, if you want to do something, maybe make it bold. You know what I mean? Something like that is even nicer. Okay. I don't know what's. Let me just open this and see what. Oh, okay, the fittest fit ever. All right. So what you're going to do with this is you're going to select the whole thing, Control A, and you're going to probably make it a little bit smaller. Let's make it 48. Let's see what 48 gives us. Oop, I went the wrong one. I want this 48. There we go. 48. Wrong one. All right, and open the frame up a little bit. Okay, so it's still too big. I guess we can make it a little bit smaller. Let's go 48. Let's go to 36. All right, 36 or 7, 38 to 940. That's probably good right there. Okay, so something more like that. And then this guy here can move up a little bit, you know, move that in closer. And then maybe what you do is, see, now by doing this, here's the deal. I don't know what your situation is with the copy overall, but you see now you got some extra space. What you can do is you can maybe move this copy up slightly. See what I mean? And move this copy up a little bit higher like that. See what I'm saying? And again, this copy's got to be fixed. This is not, you know, the copy size has got to be, it should be really the same size. Okay. All right. So, you know, again, all I'm doing is I'm making some very minor adjustments to this. The way you handled this wrapping, you did very well with that. That looks really good. But, you know, again, take a look at what I'm doing. Now, this guy here, this is sitting too high. Notice that if we zoom in on this thing, see how it's too close to the type at the top and you got that huge gap at the bottom? Let me deselect it so you can see. See, it's not right. So this thing here, what you're going to do is you're going to start off by closing this frame up as close as you can, okay? And then you're just going to move this down a little bit. And now you see how that looks a little bit better. And another thing that you could do if you want is go to the paragraph panel and let me get this out of the way here. And you could go to, see where this thing is set to the baseline grid? I'm going to deselect it from the baseline grid, and I'm going to try to move it down now. And you see now that I've deselected it, the frame's still too big. Now that I've deselected it, I've taken the baseline grid out of play by clicking this right here on that frame. See? That's no longer being aligned. See, it says do not align to the baseline grid. By doing that, I now can change the positioning of this so that it fits better in there. And what you might do with this even is come in here, all right, and you may take this and open this up a little bit, all right? I'm not sure why this is, I'm not getting both of these lines here. What's happening with this? Okay, there we go. Now let's go. Okay, that's probably a little bit better. There we go. So you see, I'm just making some minor tweaks to this thing. And let's go view, fit, spread in window. And then, you know, again, you're going to go through your pages. Let's take a look at the next pages. See, this is basically looking okay, except of course that you have, this copy is too close. So what you would do, this is text wrap. That's probably what's going on here. You got a text wrap going on. No text wrap. You don't have text wrap. So how'd you do? Wait a minute. Go to type. Oh, wait a minute. Window. Type. Oh, crap. Window. Wait a minute. Where am I? I'm lost here. Type. Go to window. Text wrap. There it is. Okay. Confused. All right. So this guy here, I'm not sure why this is. Okay, so you got this frame here. This frame is way too big. There's your problem. Okay, so bring that frame in. Bring that frame in. Okay. All right, so now you've got that. That's correct. But the problem here is that this picture is too close to that copy right there. So what you do with that is you take your text wrap and make sure that this is not set to make all the settings the same. And you want to make sure that on the bottom, you allow for some space like that. See? So even that's not too bad. You know what I mean? I just got a little bit of space now and it looks a little bit better. Okay. You might want to also consider on your frame, you might want to consider putting a stroke of black on this. Okay. And you might want to make it only 0.5. And the same with this picture right here. If I can get this picture here. Here he is. All right. Let's go to, first of all, this frame should, you got it. Okay, so I see what it is. You got a picture. There's your text wrap. So that picture right there, hold on. I see what you're doing. You have a frame on top of this. Okay, let's go edit undo. There we go. Okay, so there's your text wrap. And now it's, I don't know why it's all whacked out here. There we go. Okay, so what you're going to do is go to your layers, and that is on your image layer. Okay, so he's on the background layer. So let's lock that. Let's click on this. So let's lock the text layer. And let's go to the background layer and let's click on him. Unlock him. Click on the background layer. There we go. Now you're going to just basically put a stroke on him like that and maybe make it 0.5. Okay, so there you see it's all about little details, really. A lot of this is to do with little details. That's really what it all comes down to. Making things look good. This is actually looking a little bit better now. And what you might have done with this is you might have actually wrapped this text around the top of the apple a little bit. You know what I mean? You don't have to wrap it all the way around the apple, but maybe if you just started like around here and just wrapped around the apple a little bit so that that text wraps around the apple, that would look very cool. Okay, but you see what I'm doing basically is I'm just kind of moving and tweaking things a little bit to make the page look better. Okay, and then we're here. See, all this looks basically okay. Again, what I might do with this is I might, let me see my layers, or I'm on the background layer. These pictures now are on your image layer, I'll bet you. Yeah, they are. See, so again, what I would do with these images is I'd be putting strokes on them because they would just look a little bit better, and I'd put a 0.5 stroke on them. See what I mean? Now, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that to these images necessarily, but I would do it to these images right here. These images right here, I would get that little bit of a stroke on them. All right, that's what I would do. And it would be a 0.5 stroke like that. All right. And yeah, this looks okay. This looks okay. Again, the picture is a little close to page 7. So I don't know what layer that's on. I guess it's on the text layer. Yeah, it is. You see, it's on the wrong layer. So bring that up to the image layer. Okay. And then what I would do with that is I would take that picture and I would move that picture up because you got space above it. Move it up to about there. All right. And then this way it isn't so close to that page 7. And if you can even drag this open just a touch, like a little bit like that. Yeah, which you can do, see? And then again, just put your stroke on it like that, right? And then of course it's 0.5. There you go. And that looks a little bit better. And then there's your back page. So I mean, it's just a number of small little details make this look so much better. Okay? Thank you. And let's go on to the next one. Hit save. No. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's go File, Open. And let's see, this one is going to be, let's go Robert. Let's go to Robert Dorado. Let's hit Open. Let's see what Robert has. Let's update the links. And let's see here. Okay, it's updating them. Whoop. So I have some missing fonts. I'm going to hit close. I'm going to have problems with this because I'll have some missing fonts. I'll do the best I can with it. Okay, so I have some missing fonts. This is the back page. Okay, so this is your ad in the back. There, that looks good. This looks pretty good. Maybe what you might do is at the bottom here, that blue frame is probably a little bit small for the product information. You might consider just making that a little bit bigger, so it's not that copy isn't so close to the bottom and so close to the top edge of that blue field there. I guess this image you worked on, some of it at least in Photoshop. So what I would do is I'd make that grayish blue area a little bit higher and move that a little higher up into it with more space. You don't want it too close to the edge, and you don't want it too tight to the frame. So that's the thing I would do there. All this stuff here, all this copy here, I'd move down a little bit. You don't want it so close to the edge. You want to probably start it more along here. And if it overlaps a little bit of your image, that's okay. Or if you want, you could have forge interchangeable weights up here, move this down a little bit. And this guy here could move down to maybe in the middle of the weight here somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So it's just really a matter of tweaking this a tiny little bit to get a slightly better look. Always try to avoid putting things too close to the edges, top and bottom. That's not something that you want to do, especially when you got a lot of space down here that you could utilize. Again, this element here could probably come somewhere in here, and the Forza interchangeable weights can move down to like maybe here somewhere, and then you'd have better space up there. Let's go to page 2. Okay, this looks good. This may be a little bit big. I might actually come in here and I just might make it a little tiny bit smaller. Let's make it 20 instead of, let's make it 20 instead of 23. Okay, so make it like 20, 22, and that's pretty good. And then if you want, you could come here and you could track this thing. You have it set to 90. Set it to 0. And actually, let's see, let's go to 25. Let's go to 50. And that's probably pretty good. There we go. And what I would do is I would move it down a touch, and I would move it to my right a little bit. See, what you don't want to do is you don't want to have elements just like that. And what I also might do is, see, since you have this set to One Mom's Journey to Health, that's a subhead in my mind. So what I would do is I'd set that down to like maybe 14 point. And then what I would try to do is I'd try to change the rag on it a little bit like this. You know what I mean? And I would probably come in with maybe like 12, 14. Let's go to 16. And let's go Shift Enter, break that down to the next line, and bring that one up. Again, it's just a matter of, Control Z, I didn't get it in the right position. Right there. There we go. Backspace up. There we go. And then maybe what I would do with this, Life, Kids, and Brain Injury, instead of making it, well, you have a body here and I don't have it, I might go bold on that, and I would make that bigger. That's what I would do. I'd make that bigger. And I would maybe make this italic if I could. And I can't really do that here because I don't think I have that font. All right, but that's what I would do. I'd get something more like that going, and then maybe what I would do is also add a little bit of space, a little bit of extra space. Let's go to paragraph, and let's go to space after. See? And now I got something that reads a little bit better. That looks actually a little bit better. This looks pretty good. I like this. I like this very much. This looks good. This is great. I like it. Looks very good. Overall, this looks pretty good. I like the fact. What I would try to do, if you can, this is okay. Maybe try a different color. Maybe try going off the pink or something. What I would try to do is I would try to make my pull quotes the same size. So whatever size this is, it looks like it's 24. I'd see if there's any way that I could maybe make that like 24 or 20. Get it closer. See, that's like 24 over 26. Yeah, and then I'm going to have to open that frame slightly. There we go. And then I can take this thing with the paragraph panel And okay, so it is off of there. I have to close that frame down slightly. There we go. And now that looks more consistent with that. That's what you're looking for. I don't know what all right, so that's 26. Wait a minute. Do I have a, oh yeah, I have an extra. Okay, there you go. That's it. All right. So what happens now is your text re-rags a little bit. So you have to check the back and see how that back has been affected. You're going to have to check that out. Maybe you could do this. Maybe you could actually re-rag this slightly. I guess you can't. No, because of the width. Let me see what the width is. I'm just playing with it because I'm trying to get this thing to, yeah, that's too wide. That's not right either. That's no good. Yeah, I guess you're sort of stuck with this. So, yeah. Well, anyway, I'm just trying to make things as consistent as possible. That's really all I'm trying to do here. And there we go. All right. That's better. This is a little bit better. I don't know what the depth is on that. That's 25. This is what? 26. Okay. So you know what? We could take this thing, since that's 25, and we can make that 25. And that's better. There we go. And maybe we can move it down just a touch. Nope, can't do that. We have to do space before on that. Okay. Well, anyway, this looks actually pretty good. And I just made a little bit of a couple of minor tweaks on it. Let's go down to the next spread. Again, I'm not going to mess with this. Try to make your pull quotes the same size. You don't want them to vary in size. It's noticeable. Okay. What a better look would be for this is to have this do this. Have it just go to one column like that, okay? And then if you want, you could short that column. Maybe even make it a little bit bigger if you want. You know what I mean? I don't know how. I don't know which. I'm not sure where you're coming from with this thing. Let's see, is this it? Nope. I don't know what that frame is. I'm trying to figure out what you're using for a. What is that? Okay, Control Z, so that is the picture. I'm not exactly sure how you've got your text wrap on this thing. It doesn't seem to be, oh, it is, it's this, it's jumped that one. Well, let's try that instead. All right, we changed it to this one. Now let's go to the text wrap, and let's go to the text wrap, and let's go from my left and my bottom. So my bottom, I'm going to do this, like that, and from my left, I'm going to do this. Oop, wrong side. Sorry. Right. There we go. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay. There you go. Okay. And you might want to put a slight stroke around that. And this is good. I like this, except bleed it. Bleed it. I mean, this is gonna. I don't know. Bleed this right off the top. It shouldn't have that like that. It should just bleed right off. See what I mean? That looks a lot better. Let it bleed right off. And I love this. This is going to actually bleed as well. I love this. I think this is great. This looks really good. Try it if you can. See if you can, get this type to flow better to this point. Maybe this guy comes up a little bit, like maybe like that. There we go. And that's probably a little bit better. Although, I guess this is a different article. Yes, it is. And this thing here should probably be more over here. Over like that, and then down, something like that. And again, you have this at the end here. That's okay. I guess that's all right. But if it's a pull quote kind of a situation, try to make them consistent. And then this girl here, the girl can probably come down just a touch and over a little bit. Well, I guess you can't really. She's pretty tight. You might want to try to back this off just slightly here. But this is actually pretty good. This reads nicely and it looks pretty good. All right. So again, just a little bit of fine tuning, really. That's all there is here. A little bit of fine tuning is all I did. Generally, it's good. Normally, I don't like these rules above and below it, but I don't mind it here. You might want to consider, I don't know what font this is. This is that, again, that Abadi MT, which I don't have on my computer. You might want to make that medium or bold, because that would be probably a little bit bigger, or maybe just increase the size of it slightly and open up the frame. You have to play with it, I guess, is really what it comes down to. Probably better to go bold. Let's go edit, undo, resize item. Edit, undo. Yeah, get your fittest fit. Edit, undo. There we go. Yeah, maybe just make it bold or something like that. That's it. I mean, some of the things that you're doing here I like very much. I like the idea of this. This looks really good. I don't know whether these frames have enough image, but it might even actually be good to bleed them right off the page. I guess they don't. If they do, bleed them right off the page. If they don't, you're good to go. Okay? No. Yeah, so I got time for one more. Let's go File, Open, and let's go back up. Critique. Let's go to Nicole Self. Let's see what Nicole has to offer us here. Update links. And let's see what we got. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, this is this fun one. This is fun. This is fun. I love this. This is kind of cool. All right, so let's go to, that spread right there. And let's go, yeah, View, Fit Spread in Window. Boom, right there. Here we go. All right, Remodeler Magazine. All right, so one thing I would do is I like this very much, and this headline works really good. This works pretty good. All this works pretty good. I'm a little bit concerned about the spacing between the subheads and the copy. Like right there, I'm noticing that looks different than this. And this here, see how there's a nice bit of space above that? That's not consistent. That's a different spacing there. So you have to get these spacing elements correct. I like the space on this, maybe even give me a little more underneath it, but make them consistent. Make them consistent. Make them all the same. Even this should be consistent. So I'm not exactly sure how you're doing it, but if it's a kind of a situation where it's a space after deal, then you have to go into your paragraph and you're going to have to give it more space after. See what I mean? I don't know whether you're probably not using space after, but you see how I've given it more space there, and hopefully you'll see that looks a little bit better. If I select this line here and I do the same thing, come in here and I give it a little space after, I'm moving it down, and now look, that spacing's much better. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a look at all of these things. Now this thing here, you don't need the space before, but you need to apply the space after to this, and you could do that as a paragraph style. Once you have this spacing set up, you could apply it as a paragraph style and just apply it to all of them, and it'll go together. This guy here, you should not have it overlapping that circle, so you have to deal with that. I don't know how you did it. I'm not sure exactly how that's done, so, but you should try to, that image right there. Okay, so it's that thing. I guess what you would do is you bring it down a little bit, like that, just like that. Yeah, see, now that actually is all it took. This thing here should probably, both of these should probably come over. Both of these should come over a little bit because you don't want that copy so close to the edge there, that hanging element. So what you want to do with that is you want to select all of them and get rid of that thing. I don't want that part of the selection. Yeah, let's see if I can move that over a little bit. Let me move it over a little tiny bit like this. And let's see if that's better. That's better. Just be careful when you get to these edges. You don't want to do that. I like this. I like this very much. I just wonder to myself, though, if this should be thin, maybe that should be thick. And maybe this should be thin, and maybe that should be thick, just for a better look. See, right now, it's just kind of like, you know what I mean? I'm thinking more along the lines of, I don't know how you did it. I'm going to try to cheat and do it another way and see whether I can give you an idea of what I'm talking about. I'm going to create a shape like this, okay? And I'm just going to fill that shape. See? And, oh, I didn't, what's going on with this? This is, how come it's, go to Object, go to Effect, Transparency. Oh, yes, I don't want that. I want it to be 100%. There we go. See what I'm thinking? I'm thinking maybe something like this. Hit OK. Look, I'm thinking something more like that, where you have a little bit of thick, thin kind of a thing going on here. That looks kind of cool, okay? Because you have to basically get it positioned properly. There we go. And I would do maybe the same thing here. I'd come in here now, and I would create another shape, all right? Just like this. I'd create another shape, thick, just like that, okay? And it's about the same thickness. And I'm going to eyedropper this guy right here. And there we go. And why is it not going in? Let's try it again. Come on. Ah, man, this is just being a nightmare. Hold on, let me try something. Let me get that selected. Well, that's why. Okay, let me go to here and let me create a swatch of that, new color swatch, and hit OK. There's my color swatch. So now what I can do is I can click on that shape right there, and I can apply that color. There it goes. All right, so I'm thinking more along the lines of something like that. See, now that gives it a slightly better look. I hope you agree. But that's what I would do with that. I think I like that a little bit better. Okay, and just I'm just tweaking things a little tiny bit. You know, this here could maybe be, well, it's not that bad. It could be a little bit bigger. This probably could be a little bit bigger, and maybe this could be a little bit smaller. But anyway, this is actually pretty good. I like it generally, and I like the colors. You might want to give me a little more space around this. You know what I mean? You don't want it to be quite as close to the edge. You want it to be give me a little more space between the edge of that blue and that copy. And I don't know what the leading is, but that leading is 9/10. That seems tight to me. Your leading seems tight to me. 9/10 is probably a little bit tight. You probably should bring it up to 9/12 or something like that, which means that it's going to reflow and you're going to have to mess with it some. So I'm not going to go fooling with it, but I'm just telling you what I think would look a little bit better. This picture probably can move down slightly so it doesn't come quite as close to that hand there. And let's move on. This kind of a thing like this, very interesting, very graphic and nice. I like it very much, and it's very appropriate for the hinge kind of thing. I like the stuff that's going on here from a visual standpoint. I like this very much. My big problem is your type is just a little bit too tight. The leading is just a little too tight. And again, if you take a look at your subheads here, in almost all, well, no, look, here's a perfect example. Look at loose fill and look at back insulation, okay? All of your headlines should look like the same. They should all be the same. So if you're gonna go with black and like this, you should have them all black like that. Or if you're going to go with blue, they should all be blue like that, all right? I don't think having black and then having blue, although you're doing yellow over here, that's okay. But I still don't think the black works. I think you should probably go with two colors, maybe the that kind of orangey gold color and that blue color for your subheads. And notice how you got here a very nice little bit of space between the loose fill and this. And you don't have that here or here or here. And you really don't have it here either. The other problem is this is a bigger font than this. So what you need to do is you need to make these fonts all the same size. So all your subheads should be about the same size. And they should be either in the orange color and they should be, or in the blue color. And then there should be the same amount of space between that and the body copy. So these are little details, but this is what's really falling short on this. Other than that, I like the stuff that's going on. I like this. I like the fact that it's kind of like the roof of a house. I like that. It's a very cool idea. And I like the kind of cloud thing you got going here. I just think your copy is too tight. You got some copy that seems to be overlapping here too, so you have to figure out what's going on with that. Your headlines, again, the subheads are different. You got to fix that. And let's see, where are we at? And there's your back. Okay, yeah, so that's kind of it. It looks like you'll run into some issues with this because, again, you got a lot of copy here, and it looks to me like your leading is just a little bit too tight. So you're going to have to see whether you can do anything about that. That would be the biggest concern I have, and then see if you could maybe come up with a better formula for your subheads. They should be a little more consistent. The spacing beneath them should be a little more consistent. The colors should be divided more equally. They should be maybe the blue and the orange, gold color. Those are the kind of things I'd work with, okay? Try one more. I'm really out of time, but let me just see if I can look at one more. Let's look at one more real quickly if I can. Let's look at Troy. Let's see what Troy's got real quickly. All right, update. All right, here we go. Let's go to View, Fit Spread and Window. Oh, still building. Let's go View, Whoop. View, fit, spread, and window. There we go. Okay, so let's go to the view menu and let's go to screen mode, preview. There we go. So, I like the yellow. I think that you need to get rid of, if that is a black outline, I don't know whether it is. It looks like there's a stroke on it. I can't tell because you're locked. Let me see. Yeah, they're all locked. Okay, so let me click on that. Let me see if I can get that. Yeah, it's over. It's hard to get it. Let's go to text, hide the text. There we go. Okay, so it's on the image layer, right? No, it's on the background. Okay, so let me lock these three. Let me click on that. Yeah, so you don't have a stroke on it, but what you do need to do with this is you need to give me more space between the frame and the text. The space needs to be a little bit greater. It's just too tight. It chokes it. It doesn't make it look good. You have these subheads here. Give me something with those subheads. Give me some color. Make those color. Make those colorful. They just are black and white. And you could use some color there. I like the way you wrap this very much. It looks great. I love the way you put this picture up in that corner there. I think that's a great idea and it works good. Again, you know, this is okay, but you have too much space in here. I adjust the spacing between the lines and also give me a little bit more breathing space from the text to the edge of the frames. This thing here, I mean, I don't know how you've done this. If it's separate frame, I'd move it over slightly. This shouldn't be so close to the edge. And again, here, you want to just open up this background a little bit so that it's not so close to the text. Also, check your leading on these things. They seem a little tight. They should be a little bit more open. Okay, so again, a lot of this is just fine tweaking. I like the idea that you're using this narrow picture here. I think that's kind of an interesting look. I like that. I like what you got going on over here. This is fine. All this looks fine, basically. You probably want to adjust your bulleted points a little bit. I think there's too much gap in there. You need to adjust that. I showed you how to do it. And in conclusion, so there you go. Yeah, so there's another quick one. Again, just try to keep in mind the few things that I told you. All right, let's go to one more if I can. File open. And who do we got? We got Robert. Let's go to Robert's. I'm going to maybe do both of them, and I'll just run a little bit late. Let me see. Update links. See if I can get them both done. All right, so I looked at this one already. I have this one. We already looked at this one. That's good, actually. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to get out of here. So Robert Dorado, you had me. You heard what I said about your other submission. So I'm not going to look at this. I got one more here. Come on. No. I got one more. Let's go file open. And let's go back up to critique. And this is Rachel. Let's see what Rachel has to offer here. And update the links. There we go. Okay, so the problem I have here with this is it's going to be a difficult one for me to critique because her fonts I don't have access to. All right, so this is going to be kind of difficult for me. I'm going to just basically go to the view menu and I'm going to go to screen mode preview and I'm going to take a look at it and see what I can get out of this. So basically, this is all right. You might just move it over a little bit. You know what I mean? You got a lot of space there. I'd move it over more like that. See, I think that looks a little bit better. See what I'm saying? Also, this picture, if you're going to use that picture format, it should match up. It should actually line up with that box up top. It shouldn't be hanging off. It should be actually, you know, right lined up with the box above it. They should match up. See, they should really match up in order for that to work properly. Okay? Come on. All right. You got, see right here? This is a problem. You got a one-line widow right there. That is no good. You can't have that. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to play. You're going to have to play with these columns. I don't know whether you got something locked here or not. Yeah, you do. Okay, so it's all locked. You got to get rid of that widow. That line's got to go away. See what I mean? And it's not going to do it that way. I'm going the wrong way about this. You're going to have to do something to get that widow out of there. Okay, and there is one line. So, yeah, so that's too much. There we go. That's a little bit better. See? That one line up there. It's okay to have 3 lines like that. but it's not okay to have one. And this thing here should be wider. That should be as wide as that is right there. It should be more like that. Yeah, that should be right. And then this thing here could probably come over a touch. That's probably good. There we go. There we go. That's probably a little bit more like it. And this, I don't know whether you have extra space there or not. I'm not sure. I can't really say for sure. Yeah, see, there's a problem with this. That looks like the end of a paragraph, and that looks very clumsy. So this guy here probably should come down. There we go. Nope, nope, nope. It's got to come down. There we go. Then bring it down a little bit more. That's probably. Whoop. All right, so this is, I guess this has a text wrap on it. It does. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to give me a little bit of space above that. See? There we go. And now you can move this down. There we go. Oh, there we go. And that's probably a little bit better. See that? That's a little bit better. Okay? A little bit better. Your text wrap's okay, except that's a little bit close right here. It's possible, though, that you could maybe get that photo. I don't know whether that photo's locked or not. It isn't. So I should be able to get that photo. But this, I think this text frame's in the way. Let me go to text and lock the text and see if I, there we go. All right, so now I got it. Let me bring the text forward. And what I can do maybe is I can take that image and I can just move that image over slightly. See, and by doing that, I actually get that text a little bit further away from that copy right there. Your wrapping looks pretty good. So you did a pretty good job with this. One of the things that I mentioned to you about this up here is that this picture has this background. What I would do is I'd take this into Photoshop and I would use brightness and contrast to get rid of this blue in the background here. That blue in the background's got to go away because it looks kind of sloppy. See how it looks a little bit sloppy? This should be almost silhouetted. And you could get rid of that blue by going into Photoshop with this image and adjusting the brightness and contrast and the levels of the blue. And you could literally make that go away or make it so weak that you wouldn't see it. So that's what I would do with that. As far as this is concerned, you know, what I might do with this is I might make it a little bit wider, okay? And I might make this just a tiny little bit bigger, okay? Because, again, you don't want it to be hanging off. Why am I not getting all this? Wow, I don't know. Oh, Control Z. All right, let's try it again. Let's go to 22, 4. Okay, so let's see what we got now. Okay, so the problem I think with this is Control Z is the leading. Yeah, let's see, the leading is probably off. 16. Yeah, you got negative leading. There's your problem. Okay, so there, that's a little bit better. 26. Let's see, that's more like normal leading would be for this, but it's a little bit big then. If I move it up, I can maybe do that. There we go. And now I can maybe select all this. And let's try a slightly different leading. That's probably good right there. So I just basically fooled around with the leading slightly and the size to make this thing read a little bit better. This guy here, what you might do with that is you might actually open this frame up slightly and you might make this thing a point size bigger. Okay, might make that 43, 44, something like that, see? And then now you've got something that fits a little bit better. You can walk this down slightly until it gets to about there. Then maybe this thing here, you can move this up slightly until it gets like about there. So I'm just, you know, all I'm doing is fanoodling a little bit and fooling around with this a little bit to make it fit a little bit better. That's really what it is. And it's the same down here. I mean, you basically just look at this and see, here you got a picture that's in a frame. The problem is it looks like the picture isn't fitting the frame. So you have to enlarge that picture slightly to get it in the frame. See how it's not fitting the frame? So that you would have to do. This rags decently. It's not great, but it rags decently. This doesn't rag quite as well, so I would work on this a little bit and see if you could get that to rag a little bit better, or you haven't applied the rag. I'm not really sure what it is. Yeah, it looks like it's just not ragged out, and it's not working because it's not hitting that copy properly. That's the problem with that rag. So maybe that picture needs to be a little bit bigger to get it over there. This looks okay, except that you got this little gap down here. What you're going to have to do with that gap is put a picture in there, or you're going to have to play with the text to make it fit better. Picture would work. Here, quickly, just to look over here, you got these numbered lists. I showed you how to make the adjustment on that. Go to the type menu and go to tabs, okay? And you can adjust these things using the tab panel like this. Well, I didn't get it. Let me see if I can get it. Hold on. All right, let's see if I can get this thing to work a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. So what I would do is I would set my tab stop here, and I would bring my tabs over to about there, okay? And then what I would do is I'd grab this thing here, and I would drag that over to about there. See? And now I might have moved it a little too far over. Let me back it up a bit. That's not right. Let me grab that. Drag that over just about like that. That's probably pretty good. See, now look at the difference between the tabs. They're still a tiny bit out there. So what I would do is I'd select it again, and then I would just come over with my tab stop, and I'd move that over about like maybe to there. See? And now there, my tabs look much better. But then, of course, you know, you're going to have to adjust this copy now because the copy is coming up short. So there, you know, you need to play around with the text a little bit more just to get them to fit slightly better. But that's basically what I would do with this. I don't know what I would do with these photos. Maybe I'd put a rule under them or something. This probably, I would put a stroke around it, maybe a 0.5 stroke, something like that, all right? And make sure that your pictures fit within your frame. Here's a perfect example. That picture's not fitting in the frame, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, okay? And a little bit bigger like this. And now the picture fits in the frame. See? That's what you want. You want to make sure your pictures fit in the frame. If you're using pictures in a frame, they should fit within the frame. Another example is right here. This picture does not fit in the frame. See? So what I would do with that is I'd select the picture, all right? Let's go to my text layer. I think I have to lock that text layer. There we go. Now if I can click on that picture, I can move that picture up. See, just move it up and move it over a little bit. And now that picture is properly in that frame. So there are little things like that. And this column here, for instance, is not at the same height as the column in the middle. So again, you know, your columns at the top, they should align at the top properly. So here you got a situation where this column is a little bit on the low side. This column's a little bit on the low side. I drag a guide out, okay? And I drag a guide out over on this page, see? And I would make sure that all my copy goes to that guide, see? That's what I would do. I'd make sure that all that copy goes to that guide. Now, they should all do that at the top. View, fit, spread, and window. So there's a lot of just very minor little tweaking that needs to be done. Again, the problem I'm having with this is I can't really tell you the fonts because I don't have the font loaded in here, and I may not be able to load it, okay? So at any rate, that's basically what I would do with this, okay? And that's it. I guess that's all I got time for. We're actually run over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end here. Wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I am available if you need to call me. I want to see you get your work done. So if you need to give me a call over the Thanksgiving holiday, you can give me a call. You can send me an email. What I will do is I will be checking my emails regularly through Thanksgiving and the days after. I will not be in the Blackboard Wednesday night. I will be in Blackboard Friday from 9 o'clock until 12, and then Saturday from 7 o'clock until 12 o'clock Mountain Time, both times. So please feel free to get in touch with me if you need help or clarification on anything. Thank you very much for coming to this class. I hope it helped you. Have a happy holiday.